We're on page, let me see, let me make sure that I got the right place. Yeah, we're on page Kuf Nun. I'm going to read across the top. So he said, V'zehu inyan chamisha kasharim v'arbecha avirim sheyesh b'kol kanaf v'kanaf. Every corner has 5 knots in the strings, and then spaces, 4 spaces. Chamisha chakasharim heim so the chamisha chasadim shali yisod hanikra kesher. It's also called shurak v'kanoida. So he says the 5 chasadim that are found in the Yesod, that's a name for them. V'hem kolulim ba'arba avirim, and they're incorporated with them are 4 different spaces. I'm translated spaces, I guess. I don't know. Avirim, he calls them airs. Shehem, what do you say?
Yeah, spaces.
Yeah, you like spaces. Shehem arba osias b'shuto shel chavayas, because these are this refers to the 4 letters, which are the pashut of the name Havaya, Asher Baka Niskar, which is in there, like we mentioned. So he says, Ki kol bechinas avir hu benukva. That's a statement. I'm not sure he explains why avir goes with the concept of the nukva, except that avir means like it's empty. And maybe that's the metaphor, I'm not sure. Amnam kafia emes enam rak arba miluim, but in the truth is there's only 4 miluim. Shtei osias vav and daled, that is the which go with the yud. Harishonim heim milui os achad belvad. So he says, well, he's saying that the double letter here is really part of 1 letter, and so therefore it's counted as 1. Shuhu os yud harishonim nimseki heim arba miluyim belvad la'arba osias havaya. So therefore we say there's only 4 miluyim. V'lechein heim arba tzitzios, so therefore that's the reason why we have 4 strings, or 4 tzitzis. V'chein arba osios, a pshuto shalom, and also the pshutos. V'arba beluyim, and then the shalom. Heim shmona chutim shebekol knaf. Okay, so he's saying this is the kind of statements that I find difficult to just digest it. I mean, he says it, so that's what it is. So let's look down here in the Tivik Avanos on number Pei Aleph, and he says like this: V'zecha v'inyan. 1 second. There we go. V'zecha v'inyan chamisha kasharim. V'zecha v'inyan shebechasiyas atzitzis oisim chamisha kasharim kafulim. So we have 5 double knots. So then you have also these 4 errors or spaces, we said, between the doubled knots. So he said, it's made on every single strand. That's every corner, I guess that's the best way to say it. He says, because these 5 double knots, they're a reference to that. So the question is what's the reference between the word kasher and the concept of the chasadim in the yisod? Yisod the nikra kasher. So he brings an answer, and he says because the yisod is called kasher, l'hiyos mekasher b'yachad as a dacher imanukva, because this is the place of the tie. It's like a hook or something. It ties itself. V'chein yisod nikra shurak vov. It's also called a shurak vov, which is the vov with the dan in it. So he says what the nikud of the yisod, this is what we say applies to it. I don't know if you have a line through this who, which doesn't belong, so maybe it was put in there by the publisher. So the word kasher is in there too. So we want to say that this is a letter that represents Yesod. So all what we're talking about between each set of knots, yesh arba avirim, there were four spaces. Sheila arba avirim maramzim la arba osios apashuto shel shem havaya asher benukba, because it's a reference to the yud ke vavke, simple yud ke vavke that you find in the name of havaya in the nukva. So why is it that the arba avirim are representative of the nuk? It didn't really answer it, just said that that's the fact. The fact is that the concept of aver is found in the nuk, and I put an answer on it. I don't know if that's the reason why. So then he wants to go into this part. He says, now wait a minute, if you look at the miluim, there are actually 5 letters there, not 4. Okay, so again, in calls that hem nechshavim rak arba miluim v'dachov the misha miluim. So he said v'kevish shtei ha'oros rishonish, which are vav dalid. So he's talking about what is his word? Osios. I'm sorry. Kevish shtei ha'osios rishonos shehem vav and dalid. These are the two letters in the milui. Hem milui shel os achas. They're really a milui of one letter. So therefore, he says, Shehi os yud vav daled. That's the vav daled we're talking about. Rishona dechavai lechein. So therefore, shtechem yachan nechshavan the milui echad. So the two of them together are considered to be one milui. V'kevin sheosias vav daled the milui yud vav daled. Nechshavan the milui echad. They're considered one. Nimsach the fezeh. So according to what comes out, then ki yesh rak arba miluim the arba osios. So now we wanted to say that this is a concept of 9, and he brought in the idea of the miluim. So the miluim, he said, that important to this count. Let's go on. So corresponding to that, shenikroyim arba osios milui, which are called the 4 letters of the milui, yesh arba tzitzios ba'arba hakanfos atzitzis. Now, hopefully that this will tie together with something that we'll see later on. He says so that these arba tzitzios, therefore these miluim, represent the tzitzis themselves. Let me get this word. Shenikroyim arba osios milui yesh arba tzitzios ba'arba kanfos atzitzis. So then he said, arba osios shall levaya pashut. So now you also have going along with it the 4 letters of the pashut. So now that's 2 sets of 4. So he says, so now you have the 4 letters in combination with the miluim sheberavaya the milui hein. Az yachdav heim olim shmona. Then they come to shmona. Shehem sod ha-shmona chutim shebekol kanaf, which is the concept of the 8 strings that you find on every corner. Hamromazim ba'arba osias chavaya b'shuta. Okay, that's what he says. Let's go to the next paragraph and let's read the top part. So the whole question is, so what did he do? I mean, it's just like a construction. He says that the construction is that there are 5, and you go to this 5 and 4, and then you have a double 4. So the double 4 is to tell you all of the strings, and then you have the 5. I guess that's what's flowing through the strings. I'm just quite not sure exactly why we heard this, but that's what's going on. So now it goes over here and it says, so now let's go and explain the 4 different miluim that we were talking about that we find in this Avaya Dehayin. Now we understand that the Avaya Dehayin comes up to the gematria of Ben, Ma and Yonim. What's pshat over here? So what are you doing with these miluim? Why did you need to know the miluim? So we understand that there are 4 different aspects that flow into the nekeva. Let's go back over this again. He said one of them is the aspect of nefesh. Nefesh is the lowest level of light. Shenosin bacha yisod, that the nefesh is put into the nukva bacha yisod la'orer haman, in order to arouse her man. Now I'm not sure who's ha'achas hi bechinas a nefesh shenosin ba, that is placed into her. Okay. V'al yada na'asa kli hasheni, and through this it makes her a second kli. So in other words, she actually has, I guess you have the yisod, you have the ataras yisod. But at any rate, I'm not sure what that meant exactly. I know we've learned this before. V'ashlishi, so then he sent in parenthesis, then there's a third one, hu b'bechinas haruach v'haneshama shenosin ba shehem shem sag uma. So he says the third one is that, I was just trying to count it out. First he talked about one, Daki arba bechinas nimshachim el nukva va'achas hi bechinas nefesh shenosin bacha yisod or raman. Val yada na'asas kli sheni, and through it makes a kli sheni. Now I consider that to be one. Then he goes to the third one, the vashlishi hu bechinas haruach v'haneshama. This is the concept of the nair. Well, I guess you would say, what do they call it? Yeah, that would be the nair. V'haneshama. So now I understand from what he said, either here or somewhere else, I'm learning, I don't know what, that sag refers to the aspect of ima, which is a yud-ke vav-ke, and that which is a panemius. And then it seems like, since he said something previously, that the akya really refers to a makif. Maybe I'm learning that somewhere else, but akya sounds like it's the makif. And so therefore, whenever you see the two of them together, then that's why you see in the Rishash, the one is called a Makif and the other one's called a Panemi. So here we have it again. So here is that's the third one. Then he says, he says, al pasuk or zerua l'tzadik, that a light is cast into the tzaddik. So what is this? So what's that pshat? Nishmas tzadikim, the neshamas of the tzadikim, heim is davgim mamish im hanok mamish hanikras malchus. Again, the neshamas of tzadikim, they're the ones that are involved in the yichud im hanok mamish hanikras malchus. That's a very strong statement. I don't think he has a backup on this. I think he has a problem here at some of this. Let me just look at it again. Neshamas of tzadikim, hey, misdaveges, misdavgos, I don't know how to pronounce it, mamish im hanuk mamish hanikras malchus. So there, the neshamas of tzadikim. So umachazivakahu nivroim neshamas hagerim, and this, from this yichud, you have also the creation of the neshamas of gerim. So pasuk, this is the secret of this pasuk. So we've kind of seen this phrase before. V'daki rov hazivugim and na'asim bizman hagalus. So most, he says, zivugim that are made at the time of the galus, heim ba'ofen azeh, they're in this way. V'lezech niskavin sham berei the Rav Safra. So we have a kavanah over there, but I don't have anything on this. So then the third and the fourth, so I guess that what we had before, I said that there was a discontinuation of, he went first to the first one, then he went to the third one and the fourth one, and now he says, comes back and he says this, the third and the fourth, the concept of that nair. The sag. This is like a repeat of what he said before, sort of. And corresponding to these four different bechinas. Then you have these miluim, they attach onto what? The arba, where is the arba bechinas? Bechinas havaya de ma v'havaya de sag. Keneged arba bechinos elu, he says these are four. I guess it means he was counting out the four. Hoya arba miluim, that's where you see the four miluim. So the miluim in some way correspond to the act of this yichud. V'arba be'oses the peshuta shebechavaya b'shecha b'balka nizgar, which he has to begin with. Amnam kol arba bechinos elu nechlala bebechinos rishona. So all of these four bechinos, they're all incorporated in the first one. Hanikras nefesh, shehi kolelas hamilui azel, which incorporates this milui that we're talking about. He said the fi shekol havaya hazos b'malua, the hayan, that every havaya which a milui of hayan is richa nefesh kenayda. That's the level of nefesh. Ella sheba nefesh hazos nifratim arba bechinos and iskarim v'havenza. Then you see that the specific, they specify these four bechinos as we mentioned, and there is a little confusion I think in this piece. Number tzadi vav, let's see, it's tzadi zayin in the tiv. Let me find it here. Here we go. He says. V'hata nevaya rav inyan elo ha'arba miluim sheyesh b'shem b'vaya the milui hayin. Okay, no problem. Shazu rav b'vaya the milui hayin ola b'gematria ben. No problem. But mekan ad sofa inyan lon is boyer ke'es. So he says that at this time we're not going to explain that. Or he says lon is boyer is not explained here. V'od chazan the moed. There's a time we're going to get it with Hashem Yisbarach. So all of this piece is going to remain a little secret up until this point. If I looked out over it and I tried to figure out what he said, he wanted to say what the miluyim are attached to. What's va'at and nevayer inyan arba miluyim? So he says there are four miluyim, and so he wants to count the floor to four. So what does he do? He goes through the planting of this nefesh. And then all the rest of it really requires beer. Let's go to the next one. Lamba b'shlosha milui av sagma yesh eser osius, uva milui ben yesh rak tesha osius. So why is that? So atan devar tam lama kol sharcha miluyim da asam, kol echad mehem hu besod eser osius. Each one of them has 10 letters in it. It only has 9. Now we had a 4 and a 5 before. The one referred to the spaces, that was female, and the other referred to the chesodim, which are in the yesod. I'm assuming of zeranpin. She doesn't have a yesod. Now I've told you this before, he says. It's on the back of the nai of Zah. They're very long. Aval the Yesod who katzer is short. He said and it doesn't extend down to the place of her velon nispashet ad the Yesod asher ba. So it doesn't extend to the Yesod that's in her. So therefore she's missing it. But her netzach and hod are long. Then they expand so that she has a netzach hod. She has a netzach hod. This is the reason why she's called nekeva. Nekeva is the lashon of a hole or missing something. The nivras, so the yisod, the sivas and iskaris, because the nekeva somehow has refers. Let's say that nikras nekeva. Why does she call it nekeva? Because shalom nivras beso the yisod, the sivas and iskaris. For the reason we mentioned, she's not created with the yisod because she doesn't line up with his yisod. Aval ima ilah, but ima ilah, talking about ima up above, he nikras alma the dechura. She's called the land of the male. Kanizkar b'parsha v'yetze, well, over that the fee and nenu komo hamalchus kanizkar. That's what she is. So how much more time do we have here?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Let's just do a little bit because we're kind of out here. So let's see, where did it start? It started on number tzadi tes. Tzaditas, let's see if we're so. Let's go. Hine yesh arba miluim b'shem Havaya, and they can show it to us. V'heim arba medregos rishayna v'alyona he shem Havaya b'milui yudin, and then he goes to this Havaya b'milui aleph, and the Havaya of miluim that is of yudin and aleph, and then is ma ha'oda b'gematria ma. V'yesh b'roba eser oses madrega ha'reviz for the tachtona he shem Havaya. So the first one is Havaya b'milui hayan, but it only comes to 9 letters. V'yesh bo rak tesha oses. V'echa memilu the Havaya the hayan chaser lo os achad b'kedei lahashlim b'lechasara. It's missing a letter in order to be able to make it 10. But sarah a beer mifnei ma b'shloshas b'shemas the Havayos miluim the asam. Yesh to call echad 10 osios. Ve'ela b'shel Havaya the revi shuhu shem Havaya b'milui hayan yesh no rak tesha osios. V'nak name ki seder b'drego shel shemas kuba open zeh. This is the order. Shem Havaya the milui av kuba abba. V'shem Havaya the milui sag kuba ima. V'shem Havaya the milui ma kuba zah. V'shem Havaya the milui beben kuba nok malchus. V'keven shechanuk ein lo bechinas yisod k'mo sheyesh l'dechura. L'ficha Havaya the milui ben shehu benok chaser lo os achas. Vein sham ki im teisha osiad b'vav v'zecha os ha'chasereg he keneged b'bechinas yisod shecha yisod he v'rasa os chasereg he keneged b'bechinas yisod shechasera l'nok. She's missing that one. So, okay, that's it. We'll pick this up on this note next time.